So hello students, so we continue our discussion on modern periodic table. This is the last part of the discussion. So far we have been talking about periodic transient properties and we are talking about chemical properties. Point number one, valence of the element we have already discussed, and we have also discussed the trend in the valence of the elements. Now we are coming to point number two. Point number two, metallic and non-metallic properties of elements. Now metallic property and non-metallic properties are based on a term called as electropositivity. It is based on electropositivity. Now what is electropositivity? The electropositivity is defined as the tendency of an atom to lose electrons. Tendency of an atom to lose electrons from the obviously outermost electronic shell. This is what is called as electropositivity, tendency of an atom to lose electrons from the outermost electronic shell. And mainly whether an atom wants to lose electron or gain electron or share electron, it mainly depends upon its electronic configuration. And I would say another thing that will play a role is the size of the atom, and another thing that will play is the nuclear charge. But the two main factors are the outermost electronic configuration and the atomic size. Now we say more the electropositivity of an atom, more is the tendency to lose electron, more is the ability to form the metallic bond, and more is the ability to act as a metal. But if the element does not have the tendency to lose electron, then it is not a metal, and if it is not a metal, then it will be called as a non-metal. So be very clear, if an atom has got a tendency to lose electron, in that case it is highly electropositive and it will be considered as a metal, and more the tendency, more is the metallic character. And if the atom of an element does not have the tendency to lose electron, then you will be calling it as non-metal. It is as simple as that. So tendency of an atom to lose electron from the outermost electronic shell is called as electropositivity, and more the electropositivity, more is the metallic character. Now first let me talk about the down the group. As you go down the group, so what will happen? The size of the atom becomes bigger, the distance between the nucleus and the outermost electronic shell becomes more, the attraction between the nucleus and the outermost electron become less, and tendency to lose electron will become more. And that means electropositivity or metallic character increases as you go down the group, which means you will find that lithium is a metal, but more than that sodium will have more metallic character, but more than sodium potassium will have more metallic character, more than potassium rubidium will be having more metallic character. It is like this. But across a period, what will happen? Across a period, so you will find that atomic size gradually in a particular period gradually decreases, because of the shrinkage of the outermost shell. There is also increase in the nuclear charge. And also this element is coming more and more closer to the octet configuration, and therefore tendency to lose electron across a period from left to right, from group 1 to group 17 normal elements, will go on decreasing, and therefore metallic character will be decrease. Metallic character will decrease, or you can say non-metallic character will increase. Non-metallic character will increase. So quickly, I just repeat, tendency of an atom to lose electron from the outermost electronic shell is called as electropositivity. More the electropositivity, more is the tendency to lose electron, more is the metallic character. It mainly depends upon the outermost electronic configuration and atomic size. Down a group, atomic size goes on increasing, and therefore metallic that electropositivity increases, metallic character also increases, and across the period the electropositivity will go on decreasing because of decreasing the atomic size and also increase in nuclear charge, and also its tendency to come closer and closer to the octet configuration, and therefore metallic character will become lesser and non-metallic character will increase. If you see in the in this period of sodium, so sodium is metallic, magnesium is metallic but little less, then aluminium even lesser, then silicon is a metalloid, am I right? Then after that phosphorus is a non-metal, sulfur is a non-metal, and chlorine is a confirmed non-metal. Is it clear to you? So that is how you will find. And there is one interesting case I will tell you, that as you go down the group, the metallic character increases. That is why in a group of 15, in group 15, you will find that if you see group 15, right on the top you have got nitrogen, which is a confirmed non-metal, correct? And then after that right at the bottom you have got bismuth, which is a metal, which is known as a metal, and somewhere in the middle is arsenic, which has got little metallic and non-metallic character, and therefore it is a metalloid. Now all of them have got a configuration of NS2 NP3 configuration. That means number of electrons in the outermost shell is the same, but as you have gone from nitrogen to bismuth, the size of the atom has increased, and as the size of the atom is increased, so tendency to attraction from the nucleus has become lesser, so tendency to lose electron has become more, electropositivity has increased. So much so that in the same group, right on the top, nitrogen is the non-metal, in the middle arsenic is metalloid, whereas right at the bottom bismuth is a confirmed metal. Is it okay? So with that, I think we are through with the metallic and non-metallic properties, and now what I am coming to is chemical reactivity. Point number 3, chemical reactivity. When you talk about it, well, chemical reactivity, well children, this mainly depends upon the electronic configuration. That's the first and foremost thing. And if you ask me, sir, why you are saying that, I would say in group 18 they are all have got noble gas configuration. No matter what, their reactivity is almost zero, not zero but almost zero. But when you think of the rest, so it all depends upon electronic configuration. Like sodium, it has got only one electron in the outermost shell, and therefore it is desperate to lose that electron and it is highly reactive. But right on the other side, chlorine, it has got 7 electrons in the outermost shell, so it is desperate to gain an electrons, and therefore it is highly reactive. So sodium is highly reactive, chlorine is also highly reactive, but reason is different. Sodium is highly reactive because it is desperate to lose an electron. Chlorine is highly reactive because it is desperate to gain an electron. So it is mainly depending upon the electronic configuration, but of course the atomic size also plays a role. You know, if the atomic size is small, the nucleus is closer to the outer shell and closer to the incoming electron, so it will have more attraction, you know, all these things. But if the size is big, so the the nuclear force of attraction on the incoming electron will be lesser, or shared electron will be lesser. So that also is a deciding factor in their reactivity. But when I talk about the reactivity, so you can say the reactivity, it basically first goes on decreasing and then it goes on increasing, and down a group size is becoming bigger, ability to lose electron is becoming more. So if you see from the metal point of view, the reactivity will become more, but if you see non-metal point of view, reactivity will become less, and therefore you just can't generalize the trend. But there is one aspect that I would like to say, that the nature of their oxides, the nature of the oxides, if you ask me, oxides and hydroxides of here is sodium, then magnesium, then aluminium, then silicon, then phosphorus, then sulfur, and then chlorine. Now you will find that these are basic. These are basic in nature or alkaline, but these are acidic in nature. And if you ask me what is the reason, so I would say, let me represent all these elements as M. All these elements I represent it as M. So these oxides, when you put it in water, so they form hydroxides. They form hydroxides, and some of the hydroxides are basic in nature, but some are acidic in nature. Then they are called as oxyacids. Now, for example, sodium, it forms NaOH. It is a world famous as a base. Magnesium, MgOH2, it is world famous as base. Aluminium hydroxide, it is actually basic, but it shows little acidic character also. So it acts as the acid towards base or base towards acid. So it is amphoteric. It is amphoteric. Silicon, it is weakly basic. It forms H4SiO4. Now I could have written it as SiOH4, but it is written as H4SiO4 because it acts as an acid. Same is case with phosphorus, H3PO3, PO4, etc. Sulfur, H2SO4, the famous one I am writing, Cl, HClO4, all this. So these all are acidic, and this acidic nature is going on increasing from left to right. So you can say that when you take the oxides of the elements, as you go across a period, the basic nature goes on decreasing or acidic nature goes on increasing. Now I wanted to give you the reason. What is the reason? So that's why let me represent all these. When these oxides, they react with water to form hydroxides or oxy acids, and all of them, they have got one common thing: the element, the oxygen and hydrogen, NaOH, MgOH, LOH, SiOH, phosphorus OH, sulfur OH, chlorine OH. So sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, I represent as M. There is O and there is H. Now, if this metal, in case of metals or electropositive events, they are highly electropositive. So what happens is, there is a pair of electron which is being shared. Oxygen is highly electronegative. So oxygen pulls the electron from this element, and when oxygen pulls this electron, so first and foremost thing, their ionization enthalpy is low, and electronegativity is also low. That is, when they are sharing, they can't share the electron properly. In fact, they are highly electropositive. So what happens is, in case of these elements, I am talking about these three. So when the bond breaks, so bond breaks between M and O to form what? M plus and OH minus. Oxygen जहाँ भी जाएगा वो इलेक्ट्रॉन लेके जाता है, so that part will become negative charge. But in case of all these, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, so in their case, I am writing it as MOH. Now their ionization enthalpy is high, so they don't lose electron all that easily, and their electronegativity in a comparative term is high. It becomes higher and higher and higher and higher as I go from left to right. So what happens, this shared electron, these elements they pull, whether it is phosphorus or sulfur or chlorine, and what happens when the bond breaks, the bond will break between, they pull. So an oxygen amongst them, most electronegative element, oxygen नहीं छोड़ेगा, oxygen will ठीक है, if I cannot pull the electron from these elements, then I will pull the electron from hydrogen. So oxygen क्या करेगा, it will do the other degree on hydrogen, so it will pull the electron from hydrogen, and the bond doesn't break between M and O, bond breaks between O and H, but it is decided by the high ionization enthalpy and high electronegativity of this element silicon, phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine. So what will happen, so ये electron यहाँ पे आ जाने से this MO will become negative and this will become H positive, and because of this compounds will be acting as acidic. So that is the reason. So in a simple language, I say that the nature of the oxides depends upon, basically can be decided by when they react with water, what kind of compound they form. If they form hydroxides, which will be giving OH minus, then will be alkaline, but if they form oxyacids, which will give H plus, then they will be acting as acidic, and that is decided by the ionization enthalpy and electronegativity of all these elements. So as you go from left to right, ionization enthalpy goes on increasing, electronegativity also goes on increasing, and that will decide whether a bond will break between M and O, that is element and oxygen, or between O and H. In case of sodium, magnesium, aluminium, the bond breaks between M and O, and therefore they will be acting as base, and they are called as hydroxides. Of course, in case of aluminium, it can break here also, and therefore it, as per situation, it will act as acid or base. Whereas in case of silicon, phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine, they pull the electron from oxygen, oxygen pulls the electron from hydrogen, eventually the bond breaks between O and H to form H plus, and they are acidic. And as you go from silicon to chlorine, this electronegativity has become more, ionization enthalpy is more, pulling of the electron has become more by the element from oxygen. So oxygen's pull of the electron from hydrogen become more, the bond becomes more weak, there is more of breaking, and therefore there is more formation of H plus, and acidic nature will become more. So I hope I have gone little extra and discussed so that you can deal with these questions in your MCQs. Is it okay, children? So with that, we have completed the discussion of chemical reactivity, and with that we have finished the chapter modern periodic table. Is that okay? Thank you. Thanks a lot. God bless you all.